Agents of Atlas, the people behind the move.
Welcome back to another episode of Movified. I am your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage, located in Vancouver, British Columbia. And this is the Atlas Agents Edition. We are super excited to have Bill and Clare ODonnell. Thank you guys for joining me from King's Transfer.
No problem.
Welcome. I always find that after about 5-6 minutes, the rambling just starts and a lot of conversation just kicks up. In the beginning, it's a bunch of nervousness. So I appreciate it. And thank you guys so much. King's Transfer, you guys are located in Montreal, Toronto, and where else?
Well, like I said, and we have an association in Winnipeg, and we have an association in Milton, Ontario, too.
And when did King's Transfer originate? Like how long ago? Give me a little bit of an origin
Our
story.
company is 103 years old right now. We're a fourth
You look
generation.
fantastic for 103.
Yeah, we look good. Where like my grandfather started the company in 1922. And like we had in 1922, we had a celebration for our 100th anniversary. So in 225, we're 103 now.
That's amazing. Same
Same family owning it.
Well, and it's fantastic, and I love the generational history, especially when you go from grandfather to the father to son and to children in that generation. I'm hoping to see Salmons like that with my family, even though my last name is not Salmons, but it's I think better than Hirschi and having like a big piece of like a chocolate on my moving truck. Maybe and kind of run that scenario out there. Being in the industry and growing up in it, Bill, what would you say would be like 3 of the top tips that someone new that was getting in the industry that you would recommend and want to state? Because I mean, you have so many different generations of being in the industry that you've learned.
Well, I think the problem is right now it's it's a lifestyle. When we started out, it was something that my grandfather started because when he came from Ireland, this was a job they came in. They had no, they're very poor, and this was, cartage was a way of surviving. I mean, at the time that my grandfather started it, it was horses, and then you moved hay, and you moved ice, and you moved anything that could be around there to survive. So we grew up in the business on that part of it. So it's been a lifestyle that the thing is. And it's been a great life for us. Has it been easy every day? No. But on the whole, it's been a great experience for us too. And, I think people that are growing up has to realize it's a lot of hours, a lot of work. And, and we're in the customer service business. So if you're not interested in giving good service, you won't last very long in this business. So the main thing is try to work hard to make sure that you have good employees and you try to service your clients at the best you can.
Before we ever started using a moving CRM, someone asked me, could you 10x what you're doing right now with the current systems and processes you have in place? And I said no. And so he was like, well, then you need to just pull the trigger on the software. And then I saw Smart Moving and it was game over.
Austin joined thousands of moving owners on Smart Moving in 2021. Since then, he's more than doubled his business.
And I always compare Smart Moving to Apple products. It's just so simple, so easy to use, and that's really what's allowed my team to scale and now have 2 branches. And last year we scaled Central Coast Moving over 50% growth.
If you're ready to turn your moving company into a machine that drives profit, not chaos, try Smart Moving.
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we had 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
Now, you also have a nice lady that's sitting beside you, Clare, your daughter. Clare, I'm going to hit it back over to you. You obviously grew up also watching your grandfather into the moving industry, and you seem to must love packing boxes and moving furniture and that whole hurrah of the moving world. What brought you into the industry, and where do you see it moving towards in the next couple of years?
Yeah. So early on, my dad and my family always wanted us to be involved in the business. So even when we were teenagers, he always had us working here as a summer job. So we've always been in and out, like, around the business. And then recently I was like working for a small business, and I was like, well, I learned so much from that experience. And I'm like, why am I not taking this and getting to experiences with my own family business? So I actually only started in September. And so, like, my main focus right now is marketing and trying to create a little bit more brand awareness in Montreal. Because when I was growing up, I mean, we'd be driving to school and all we would hear is like ads from our like local radio stations. Everybody knew what Kings were. So that's my big focus right now, is trying to bring that brand awareness back to Kings and making Kings like that #1 moving company in Montreal. It's the one everyone thinks about as soon as they think they're moving. So I don't know what direction like the moving industry is going in, but I know as a family, because also my sister works here as well, is we're willing to take chances and then move with like the punches, and especially as the technology is coming in and those are like affecting how the moving industry works, is that we're willing to just rotate and move with it.
I love that. I love that. When you have a legacy name like King's Transfer, and especially in Montreal, and like you mentioned, everybody that wants to move thinks of your moving company. There becomes this hometown dominator, as we call it, that you want to stand out, where that no matter if it was moving a couch, no matter if it was just packing up a box, helping an elderly person downsize their home into maybe a senior's home, like everything you can think of, they want to use you.
Yeah.
So I think that's fantastic. And I'm really excited to see what, where you evolve this company and take it to the next, 10, 20 years, especially with technology and AI that's coming out. Now, one of the big parts of having a company, especially a moving company, and I was talking with someone the other day, is to have multiple divisions within your company. So, get into the storage industry, make sure you're doing packing. The other big factor is long distance. What led you to become an Atlas agent, and how has that impacted your business over the years?
Well, one of the things too, the reason we got involved, my father got involved, in the early period in the 70s, Quebec was going through a very big turmoil about relocation people. Quebec was in a part of separation. People wanted, the government was separating, and a lot head offices were moving to Toronto. And my father saw there was a need for, companies were coming to him and say, I want to move people to Toronto. So that's how we got involved with long distance business, because there was a need at that time from long distance because of a lot of relocation out of Montreal. I mean, you have to realize in the 70s and 80s, over 300,000 people moved out of Quebec because of the language laws. And
Wow.
so, there was, a lot of head offices were moving, and, you have to realize at one point we would have 5 trucks a day going to Toronto.
Jeez.
And it was that crazy on that. I mean, first of all, I would say at that time, we were doing 1,000 relocations a year to Toronto.
That's amazing.
And so it was a great thing. So my father, at the time, these companies were moving to Toronto. My father said, well, we should open up in Toronto, because we had all these relationships in Montreal and they were moving to Toronto. So that's why he opened up in Toronto, because of all the companies were moving there, that he saw a need for the service in the Toronto area.
Do you still find a lot of long distance happening between Montreal and Toronto?
Not as much
today?
I mean, the problem is right now, I think that if you look at Montreal now, the people that, like with all this, all the language laws and all the issues are coming here. If you've stuck it out this long, you're immune to what's going on here. So if you're an Anglo or people like that, you're sticking it out here. So you don't see it as much. The more the people we're seeing now are younger people moving, that are going down to Toronto for a job and things of that nature. So what we're seeing a lot more smaller moves than larger moves, because Toronto's just so much more expensive. So it's not like you're moving to Toronto to get another home, because the homes are like double the price.
Sure.
So you're not seeing that. So you're seeing the people that are moving are a lot of younger people that have got jobs in the financial part of it or the high tech industry and things like that.
Now, Claire, you must, sitting at the kitchen table with your family that's so heavily involved in the moving industry, you must have heard some crazy and wild stories. Is there a funny moving story that comes to mind that you can think of that you're like, oh man,
What?
I'm glad this is staying at the dinner table?
We should have planned this. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm trying to think. I'm like thinking, like, what am I allowed to say actually?
Oh, you could say anything. It'd be great. I'll make sure Atlas edits it out.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Yo mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google. No one's gonna call. No one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
Well, see, one of the things I didn't do, and
I was gonna say
one of the things that I never brought.
Bill, you got to sort of cut you off. You got to move over.
Yeah, okay.
You're like a hidden shadow in here.
well,
There you
first of all,
go.
First of all, one of the things that I've always did is I always try to separate my business from home. I mean, I grew up in the business where my father brought it home, and it was just too much some days. So when I got home, I cut it off. They asked me what happened that day, and I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I really, they don't know what happened on a daily basis that they wouldn't even know how to survive some of the things I had to go through on a daily basis. So
that's what I was gonna say. We actually have some strict boundaries in this family, especially now that my sister and I are here. We give ourselves cut-off times every night where we don't speak about things. But my dad definitely never brought it home. So my experience would be purely as a teenager.
yeah,
I love that because that having that type of balance is so important. And you see that in generational businesses where by the time it gets to the grandkids, they're like, no thanks, like I'm out. Like I've been living and breathing it and I want nothing to do with it because I can see the way it affected my mom and dad or, my grandparents or whatever the situation is. So, I tip my hat off to you, Bill, because you've clearly, learned how to do that separation and it's showcasing on your daughters as well too.
Well, I just felt that it was to the point where that if you brought her home, you never took a break from it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have that. I didn't, I wanted to go home and have another life, not just because you remember when at the time when we grew up, we were doing a lot of commercial moves. So a lot of days we were working 12 and 13, 14-hour days because, we work. And then, if there was office moving on weekends, we were around to see it. Maybe we weren't on all the jobs, but we went to see them all, make sure they were going well. And so we were there. So I just felt that at one point was, I just don't want to go home and talk about it. 'Cause they would say, how's everything going? I just say, oh, well, everything fine.
And he has 3 daughters, so
3 daughters.
We would have brought it higher and it didn't have to.
Yeah, like I said, it would have been more of a debate, and I really wasn't in the mood to debate them at night, tell you the truth.
Oh, for sure. I believe it. When we talk about King's Transfer and that legacy that you've had, how have you ensured like that customer satisfaction, especially when doing long distance moves?
Well,
like what is there like what kind of steps you do within your company, and then especially making sure being part of an Atlas agent that customer that's swimming across Canada is being well taken care of?
Well, one of the things I did is that when we started, like we were doing a lot of commercial moves, but when I got more involved, I saw the need for, we got more involved with the corporate part of the business on that. We were doing a lot of corporate moves at one point. And one of the things that when you're doing corporate business, you really have to you have to exceed customer satisfaction every day. And that's what I try to stress to everybody is that customers are very important. so that you need to take care of them from the time you answer the phone to the job is finished. So the thing is, the way I look at it is that you need to give good service. When you give good service, people are going to keep coming back. I had accounts that would be dealing with 2 or 3 movers, but they would call me up and say, here's a difficult move because I know you guys can do it because you're that good. And I think that's what we stressed on. You know, making money is one thing, but getting good service is a very important part of me too. When you get a nice letter from somebody telling you a great service, you feel just as good too, because you're saying that you've done a good job and you're doing what you can to get it done. So I think it's all about customer service and having good people around you too. If you don't have good people, it's impossible for it to make it work. So the key is to hire good people, to be loyal, and to work hard, and to make sure that the job is getting done properly. That when you walk out the door, you know somebody's going to take care of the customer. Customer is the most important part. Like I've always told our drivers and our employee, you don't work for me, you work for the customer. Because the customer is one who pays us, and we have to pay you. But we have no customers. Guess what? I don't need you.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with that one. Can you, you know, every company is different, and for someone like yourselves that has been around for over 100 years, what would be some of the main cultural pieces that you could share with those that are listening that has worked well for you? I mean, you talked about hiring the right people. How is that interview process? Like, you know, are you looking for ones that were previous movers so that you can kind of tweak and change your mold? Would you prefer to have someone that has no moving experience that's coming in? Do you focus on, you know, their attitude? How does that look like?
The times have changed. When I started out in the business, most of it, you can believe it, most of our employee, one of the weaknesses that we have in our industry, we don't have an apprenticeship system. And that's a really, really awful thing what's happening. When I grew up, and the thing is, people would start in our business at 14, 15 years old. They would be a helper for 6 or 7 years. Then they would become a driver, but they learned to jump from square one. Today, it's a real challenge to find people that have that kind of knowledge. And the older people taught them the right way. And we don't have that older people teaching our new people coming into the industry. And it's a challenge of doing it. It's a really hard thing to do, all that part of it. It's finding people that are loyal to you, and which is hard to find. Even if I told you that that's easy. And we have more challenges than we had 25 years ago to find people. And I think that's the challenge that we have, is finding good people. And, you know, on that part, you have to realize we're all in the same situation. We give up work because we don't have enough good employees to do the work.
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
And do you find that that's what's happening now in the long distance side of things?
Sure,
for going
100%.
across Canada?
It used to be that people that, at one point, like we used to have a lot of people from the Maritimes, from northern Quebec, that were hardworking people that if you told them to drive to Vancouver, they would do it. They didn't mind. Today, that younger person doesn't want to leave the area. He wants to be home every night. He wants, like we have people that say, I don't mind going away for a day or two. Well, that doesn't go you too far if you're only going to go for a day or two. And I find that that's the challenge that we have, is finding people that want to do the business, that want to do the traveling and be away for 3 and 4 weeks at a time. It's not an easy job, you know what I mean? And you're driving, you're dealing with customer, you're dealing with the trucks, you're dealing with everything. So it's a hard job, and a lot of people don't want to do that anymore. And I think like we're working on right now, the future is going to be how can we transfer people? How can what's a new mode of transportation going to be in the future? And I don't think it's going to be drivers, tell you the truth.
Well, and this is where I always love, when being part of a van line like Atlas, they are always looking for how can we as a family make it work? How does that dynamic work? How can we, adjust with the times and make sure that, looking already at 2030, and we have 5 years to try and see where this long distance and van line industry is going to go. They have groups within the organization that is forward thinkers and wants to see progress instead of going backwards. Do you look at from a customer is planning a big move, what would be one big piece of advice that you'd want to share with them, especially that they're moving? Like, what is one of those key tools that you tell your moving consultants when they're out there? Hey, make sure this customer knows XYZ, especially when they're moving across Canada.
Well, I think the problem is they give us time. What we're finding now is that we're getting people that are calling us with 4 and 5 days saying, yeah, I'm moving in 5 days, and be organized. I think the problem is right now, one of the things I try to tell people that when you're moving, organize your move. Don't take junk, don't take things that you're never going to use. You know what I mean? Like I say, it's nice to move things, but just be organized, know what you want, where you want, and what your expectations are. But I think giving us more time to work on the move, to organize the move, I think that's the main part. Because right now I find that people are giving us less and less time. I don't know why. You sell your house, you should know that a month ahead, but they wait, and I call it the Amazon system now. Everybody thinks they can do it overnight now because people can, that's the new way of doing it now, and it's not true. To get across the country, there's a period of time to get across, and they don't see that sometimes. So I would say organize your move, understand what we're doing, understand that these drivers and helpers are people, and make sure that you respect them. Because you have people that go and move, and they don't respect the people they're doing it. If you respect them, they'll work harder for you than not.
I love that. One thing that I always ask everybody is, and I'm going to leave this up to Claire. This is going to be a little test to see how good she is. We run into an elevator together. I'm looking to move to Montreal, and I see a King's Transfer on your shirt, and I'm like, oh, you're a moving company. You have 45 seconds as we're riding this elevator. Sell me why someone would want to choose King's Transfer as opposed to the other guy down the street.
Well, I thought I was going to struggle with this answer, but it's easy. Don't you want to choose a mover that's over 100 years old? We have some of the most experienced movers, some of the most experienced moving consultants that are going to be able to prepare you from A to B and then make sure that everything goes seamlessly, solve the problems that you're going to inevitably face in a move, and know that we are a reliable mover. We're not going to up and close in the next month. We've been around for 100 years. And so, we're going to be here today, tomorrow, and for the next 100 years, hopefully. So just focusing on reliability. I think that's our main thing at King's.
I love it. Good job. You did good.
Sorry, a little scrambled, but it's fine. I'll be better next time. Ask me again in a year.
Perfect. You got 2 weeks. I'll ask you again. Claire and Bill, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it. For anybody that is looking to move in the Montreal, the Toronto, Winnipeg, anywhere across Canada, because we're all associated with Atlas Van Lines, we can make it happen. Thank you guys so much for your time, both of you. And until next time, everybody, stay Movified.